7 seconds. That's how long it took for blood to reach the toes of a 73-year-old man I saw last winter. 7 seconds when it should have been under 2. He hobbled into the clinic exhausted, shoes on like armor, complaining of numbness, cold feet, and a walking distance that used to be miles and had become yards. He was on multiple medications, each doing its job at controlling pressure and pain, yet the tiny vessels in his feet seemed ignored. We tried something simple and nutritional alongside his care, a handful of seeds added consistently. 6 weeks later, his capillary refill, the little test where you press a nail bed and watch color come back, had improved dramatically. His pedal pulses were easier to feel. He walked farther without stopping. That clinical anecdote isn't a universal promise, but it does illustrate a core idea. In older adults, damaged microvessels and endothelium can sometimes be helped by targeted food-based strategies that support the biology of circulation. The YouTube title you just read, Are You Over 70? This one seed will enhance your blood flow by 1,000%. Sounds wild, and it's meant to grab attention. It's a hook. But let me be clear from the start. We're not saying any seed literally produces million-fold increases. What we are saying is that a handful of common seeds contain concentrated compounds backed by clinical studies that produce measurable, sometimes substantial improvements in vascular function and blood pressure when used consistently over weeks to months. I'll show you the evidence, give you practical doses and kitchen tips, warn you about safety, especially if you're on blood thinners, and end with a realistic plan you can talk over with your clinician. Before we dive in, do not stop, reduce, or change any prescription medications without your doctor. If you are on anticoagulants or antiplatelet drugs, consult your prescribing clinician before adding high omega-3 or high quercetin foods in concentrated amounts. And if increasing fiber tends to upset your stomach, start slowly. With that out of the way, here's the list you came for. 5 seeds ranked from least to most powerful for supporting leg circulation. Sunflower, sesame, chia, pumpkin, and flax. I'll explain why each made the list, what the research says, how to prepare and store it for maximum benefit, and what to watch out for. If you want practical, science-forward tips like this, hit like and subscribe. I post short, evidence-based strategies aimed at keeping older adults active and independent. Seed number 5, sunflower, everyday antioxidant and magnesium boost. What it does in one sentence: sunflower seeds supply vitamin E, magnesium, and plant oils that help protect endothelial cells, the inner lining of blood vessels, and support smooth blood flow. Mechanism, plain language, think of your blood vessels like copper plumbing. Over time, tiny amounts of oxidative damage and mineral imbalance cause rough spots and stiffness. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant that protects the cell membrane of the endothelium from oxidative rust, while magnesium helps muscles relax, which can improve how vessels dilate. Together, these nutrients support vessel flexibility and microcirculation. Key study headline: Trials looking at vitamin E and magnesium supplementation have shown modest improvements in endothelial markers and vascular reactivity. See European Journal of Clinical Nutrition 2019 for related endpoints. Practical daily dose and prep. A practical food-level dose is about 2 tablespoons of raw, unsalted sunflower seeds per day. You can sprinkle them on yogurt, salads, or oatmeal. If you prefer, soak them in water for 30 minutes before eating. Soaking reduces phytic acid and can make minerals more absorbable. Storage tip: keep sunflower seeds in a cool, dark place in an airtight container. If you buy shelled seeds in bulk, refrigeration extends freshness and prevents oils from turning rancid. Safety note: avoid heavily salted roasted sunflower seeds if you're watching sodium. Most people tolerate food amounts well, but if you have a nut or seed allergy, of course skip them. Seed number 4. Sesame, lignans, and a long history of vascular support. What it does in one sentence: sesame seeds provide lignans, such as sesamin, and minerals like copper that support antioxidant defenses and may modestly lower blood pressure. Mechanism: plain language. Sesame lignans act like microscopic bodyguards for the vessel wall. They reduce oxidative stress and influence lipid metabolism, while trace minerals support enzymes needed for healthy vascular tone. Toasting releases fragrant oils, and grinding makes the lignans and oils more bioavailable. Key study headline: short-term trials have shown that sesame consumption or concentrated sesame extracts can lower blood pressure over approximately 6 to 8 weeks. See Journal of Medicinal Food 2020 and several clinical reports in that window. Practical daily dose and prep. Aim for about 1 tablespoon of ground sesame seeds daily. You can use toasted ground sesame or 2 teaspoons of tahini as an easy substitute. Toast sesame seeds lightly in a dry pan until aromatic, then grind in a spice mill or blender for best absorption. Storage tip: whole sesame seeds keep for months in a cool pantry. Ground sesame or tahini should be refrigerated to slow oxidation. Safety note: grinding is important. Whole sesame seeds pass through the gut with less absorption. If you have a history of gallstones or fat malabsorption, discuss oil-rich foods with your clinician. Seed number 3, chia, ALA omega-3s, plus quercetin-like antioxidants. What it does in one sentence: chia seeds supply plant-based omega-3s, ALA, and polyphenols that support endothelial function, reduce triglycerides, and can improve microvascular health. Mechanism: plain language. ALA is a plant precursor of the omega-3 family. It helps reduce inflammation and improves lipid handling, which in turn eases stress on the tiny blood vessels. Chia's mucilage, the gel it forms in water, also slows digestion and stabilizes blood sugar, which is good for vessel health over time. Key study headline: clinical studies and meta-analyses have reported improvements in blood lipid profiles and markers of vascular function with chia supplementation over several weeks. See Nutrients 2021 and Journal of Medicinal Food Trials reporting improved flow-mediated dilation and triglyceride reductions. Practical daily dose and prep. 2 tablespoons of chia per day is a useful food-level dose. One easy prep is chia gel. Mix 2 tablespoons chia with 6 to 8 tablespoons water, stir, and let sit 10 to 15 minutes until it thickens. Use it on cereal, in smoothies, or as a yogurt topping. Storage tip: chia stores exceptionally well as whole seeds in a cool, airtight container. Chia gel should be refrigerated and used within a few days. Safety note: chia contains compounds that can affect platelet function in concentrated forms. If you are on blood thinners or antiplatelet medication, check with your clinician before using high daily amounts or concentrated chia extracts. Also, increasing fiber can cause bloating. Start with a smaller amount and work up. Seed number 2, pumpkin, pepitas. Zinc, L-arginine, potassium for nitric oxide support. What it does in one sentence: pumpkin seeds are rich in zinc, L-arginine, and potassium, nutrients that support nitric oxide production and therefore vasodilation, the widening of blood vessels. Mechanism: plain language. L-arginine is a precursor to nitric oxide, the gas our endothelium produces to tell vessels to relax. Zinc and potassium support the enzymes and electrochemical balance that let nitric oxide work efficiently. In short, pumpkin seeds can help the relaxation signal in vessel walls work better. Key study headline: controlled studies and pilot trials have reported increases in nitric oxide markers and modest reductions in blood pressure after regular intake of pumpkin seeds or pumpkin seed oil. See trials summarized in Nutrients reviews and related clinical reports. Practical daily dose and prep. Eat 1 ounce, roughly a small handful, to 2 ounces of shelled pumpkin seeds per day, or 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed pumpkin seed oil as a dressing. Raw or lightly toasted pumpkin seeds are fine. Soaking for 30 minutes and lightly toasting afterward reduces phytic acid and improves flavor. Storage tip: whole pepitas keep well in the fridge or freezer for longer shelf life. Oil should be refrigerated after opening where possible. Safety note: pumpkin seeds are generally well tolerated, but are calorie dense. If you have kidney disease and need to manage potassium strictly, discuss with your clinician before adding large amounts. Seed number 1. Flaxseed, the evidence leader for blood vessel function. What it does in one sentence: ground flaxseed delivers concentrated lignans, SDG, fiber and ALA omega-3s that together support endothelial repair, lower blood pressure, and improve flow-mediated dilation, the functional measure of how well a vessel expands. Why flax is ranked first? Among the 5 seeds on this list, flax has the strongest clinical trial backing for vascular endpoints in older adults and people with hypertension. A randomized trial often cited in this context, sometimes referred to in clinical circles as the St. Boniface flaxseed trial, and highlighted in hypertension and related journals, showed meaningful improvements in vascular dilation and blood pressure with consistent flax intake over weeks to months. Some trial reports documented a roughly 44% relative improvement in dilation response in treated groups and measurable systolic blood pressure reductions. Those are the sorts of results that, in a subset of patients, translate into substantial functional gains like improved walking distance and easier pulses, the kinds of changes I saw in my patient. Mechanism: plain language. Flaxseed brings 3 main things to the table: ALA, a plant omega-3, an unusually high content of lignans called SDG, secoisolaricyresinol diglucoside, and a significant amount of soluble and insoluble fiber. The SDG lignans appear to reduce oxidative stress within vessel walls and favor a healing anti-inflammatory profile. ALA can be converted to a limited extent into longer-chain omega-3s and supports anti-inflammatory pathways. The fiber improves cholesterol handling and feeds beneficial gut bacteria that may produce metabolites supportive of vascular health. Together, these mechanisms help rebuild endothelial responsiveness rather than just temporarily changing pressure. Key study headlines and results. Large, randomized studies and several clinical trials have shown that daily flax consumption, typically 20-30 grams, about 2 tablespoons, of ground flax seed, produced statistically significant reductions in systolic blood pressure and improvements in flow-mediated dilation over 8 to 12 weeks. See the Hypertension 2013 flaxseed trial and related randomized studies summarized in clinical reviews. In some studies, the dilation response improved by a notable percentage relative to control groups, and systolic blood pressure fell by clinically meaningful amounts in hypertensive participants. Practical daily dose and prep. The commonly used evidence-based dose is about 2 heaping tablespoons, roughly 30 grams, of ground flaxseed per day. Here's how to handle flax for maximum benefit. Grind whole flaxseed fresh using a small coffee grinder, spice grinder, or high-speed blender just before use. Whole seeds pass through undigested and won't release SDG or oil effectively. If you don't have a grinder, purchase pre-ground flax that is sold frozen or refrigerated and keep it in the freezer. Oxidation degrades beneficial oils quickly. After grinding, store the powder in the freezer in a small airtight container and take out small portions as needed. Avoid high-heat cooking with ground flax for prolonged periods. Add it to cereal, yogurt, smoothies, or sprinkled on salads. If you bake with flax, be aware that heat reduces some active compounds, so try to use it in lower heat recipes or add part of your dose raw. Timeline and expected effects. In the clinical trials, most measurable changes appeared between 4 and 12 weeks, with more robust and sustained improvements by 8 to 24 weeks of consistent intake. So don't expect instant miracles the first day. Think in terms of weeks of adherence. Safety notes specific to flax. Flax is high in fiber, so introduce it slowly to minimize bloating and gas. People on anticoagulants or antiplatelet agents should consult their physician before adding high daily amounts. Flax has mild antiplatelet effects in some reports. Also, if you take concentrated flax oil supplements at high doses, discuss with your clinician first. As always, flaxseed is an adjunct, not a substitute, for prescribed cardiovascular medications. Comparing the 5, why this order? All 5 seeds have beneficial compounds, but they differ in concentration and clinical evidence for vascular endpoints. Sunflower. Great as a baseline antioxidant, mineral food. Easy, low cost, widely tolerated. Useful for general endothelial protection. Sesame. Delivers lignans and oil that help blood pressure and lipid profiles. Useful when consumed ground or as tahini for absorption. Chia provides ALA and mucilage that support lipid and glucose regulation. Clinical trials show improvements in triglycerides and endothelial markers, but require attention for antiplatelet effects. Pumpkin, strong for mineral support and nitric oxide precursor, L-arginine, which can directly support vessel dilation and microcirculation. Flax, most concentrated mix of lignans, ALA and fiber, with the best trial evidence for improving flow-mediated dilation and lowering blood pressure in at-risk adults. Practical starter plan you can discuss with your clinician. Here's a stepwise conservative plan that mirrors what I used in clinic with many older adults and caregivers. This plan assumes no contraindications and that your clinician has approved adding seeds to your routine. Week 1. Start slow with flax. Day 1-3. 1 teaspoon of freshly ground flaxseed daily mixed into yogurt or oatmeal. Day 4-7. Increase to 1 tablespoon freshly ground flax daily. Week 2-4. Build to evidence dose. Week 2, 2 tablespoons ground flax per day, about 30 gram. Keep it frozen or refrigerated after grinding. Monitor digestion. Increase water intake to help fiber move through. Week 3-4. Maintain 2 tablespoons. Look for subtle changes. Warmer toes, easier pulses, less fatigue with walking. Week 5-8. Add a second seed. Add 2 tablespoons of raw sunflower seeds daily, soaked optional, or 1 ounce pumpkin seeds if you prefer. Keep flax at 2 tablespoons. Alternatively, replace 1 sunflower serving with 1 tablespoon ground sesame or 2 teaspoons tahini. Both are good options to diversify lignans. Week 9-12. Consider incorporating chia or seed oils. If your clinician agrees and you're not on blood thinners, add 2 tablespoons chia gel a couple of times a week or a daily tablespoon if tolerated. If you want concentrated oil for flavor, 1 tablespoon of cold-pressed pumpkin oil or 1 teaspoon flax oil added to salads is acceptable, but avoid heating oil at high temperatures. Longer term, build variety. Do over 8 to 24 weeks, a consistent mix, daily ground flax, several weekly servings of pumpkin or sunflower, and periodic sesame or chia, provides a broad spectrum of lignans, ALA, minerals and fiber that support endothelial repair. Keep a simple diary. Record walking distance, capillary refill times, if you know how to test, tenderness and perceived energy. Bring these notes to your clinic follow-up. Practical kitchen tips that matter. Grind flax just before use. Whole flax seeds are poorly absorbed. Freeze ground flax in small portions. Oxidation destroys oils quickly at room temperature. Toast sesame lightly and grind to unlock oils and lignans. Soak sunflower and pumpkin seeds for 20-30 minutes. If digestion or mineral absorption is a concern, then drain and dry lightly. Use seeds as toppings, mix into yogurts and cereals, or blend them into smoothies. Avoid long cooking at high heat when possible. If texture bothers you, mix ground seeds into applesauce or mashed banana. Safety, interactions, and when to call your clinician. If you're taking warfarin, apixaban, rivaroxaban, clopidogrel, aspirin, or other anticoagulants, antiplatelets, discuss any plan to add concentrated sources of omega-3s or seeds known to affect platelet function, chia, flax, high doses of ALA blends, with your prescribing physician. These dietary additions can alter clotting tendency in some people. Now, if you have severe kidney disease and need strict potassium control, check with your nephrologist before adding large amounts of pumpkin seeds or potassium-rich foods. If you experience significant gastrointestinal discomfort, reduce the dose and increase gradually. Drinking adequate fluids helps with added fiber. If you are allergic to seeds, avoid the offending seed and consider alternative strategies. Do not use seed oils or concentrated extracts at high doses without clinical oversight, especially if you take medications that interact with fats or blood clotting. If you notice unusual bruising, prolonged bleeding, or syncope after adding seeds, seek medical evaluation. What the studies really show. Translating data into expectations. The title's million% claim is marketing drama. The studies show measurable, clinically meaningful improvements, but measured in standard medical ways. Percent improvements in flow-mediated dilation, millimeters of mercury lowering of systolic blood pressure, and changes in lipid numbers or markers of inflammation. For example, flaxseed trials reported improved dilation, often cited as relative improvements like 44% in some trial analyses, and tangible systolic blood pressure reductions over weeks. Chia and sesame trials typically report favorable changes in triglycerides, endothelial markers, and modest blood pressure benefits over 6-12 weeks. These are real, not miraculous numbers. They translate into functional gains for some patients, like increased walking distance and warmer extremities, but they are part of a holistic plan, not an automatic cure. Realistic timelines and how to measure progress. 4 weeks. Early biochemical changes begin. Some patients notice modest warming of extremities and a small rise in endurance. Exist in 12 weeks. Many of the vascular function studies report measurable shifts in dilation and blood pressure in this window. 12 to 24 weeks and beyond, more robust sustained changes in vessel function and symptom relief are more likely if adherence remains consistent. Keep your expectations grounded. Seeds support repair. They do not act like a mechanical fix or surgery. They are most effective as part of a broader plan: medication adherence, controlled blood pressure, tailored exercise, and smoking cessation where applicable. A final clinical vignette to tie this together. After 6 weeks on a flax-first plan, 2 tablespoons ground per day, with the addition of sunflower and pumpkin a few weeks later, the 73-year-old I mentioned earlier reported warmer feet and regained a sense of confidence on walks. His capillary refill time dropped close to normal, and his walking distance improved measurably. His medications were continued. Nothing was stopped. That improvement was real for him, and it mirrored the kind of physiologic changes measured in trials when seeds are introduced consistently. Wrapping up, key takeaways. The title is a hook. Seeds won't literally increase blood flow a millionfold, but they contain concentrated, clinically supported nutrients that can improve endothelial function and blood pressure when used consistently. Flaxseed has the strongest clinical evidence for improving measures of vascular function and lowering blood pressure at food-based doses, about 2 tablespoons ground daily. Grind it fresh and store in the freezer. Add sunflower, sesame, chia, and pumpkin to broaden the nutrient profile. Sunflower for vitamin E and magnesium, sesame for lignans, chia for ALA and mucilage, pumpkin for L-arginine and zinc. Expect to wait 4-12 weeks for measurable change and 8-24 weeks for more robust improvements. Safety first. If you're on blood thinners or have a bleeding disorder, check with your clinician before starting high daily amounts of chia, flax, or concentrated seed oils. Start fiber slowly to avoid GI discomfort. This is an adjunctive, low-cost strategy, not a substitute for prescribed medical therapy. Use it alongside your clinician's care. For those wanting the studies I referred to, I've included links and references in the video description, so you can review the trials and timelines yourself. If you try this approach, please leave a comment telling me your country and how it went. Practical experience from different places helps others understand what works in real life. And if you found this helpful, consider subscribing so you don't miss future evidence-based tips for keeping active and independent as you age. Take care, check with your clinician, start slowly, and let small, consistent changes build real improvement over time.